Channel 5.
Today marks the 20th anniversary of the deadly value jet crash in the Florida Everglades. The Now's Michael Williams covered that story when it happened. It was tragic and jarring. I had just flown in for a job interview here at WPTV that very day. Michael's joining us live from our feed room with a little perspective on this dubious anniversary. Michael?
May 11th, 1996 was a Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. It was a beautiful afternoon. I was getting ready to head to an event for my daughter when the call came in. Get to your news helicopter in Miami. There's been a jetliner that's gone down in the Everglades, and I still get chills thinking about what I saw, or more precisely, and I'll talk about that more in a moment, what I didn't see when we got over the heart of the Everglades. Flight 592 was en route from Miami to Atlanta when the plane crashed 11 minutes after takeoff on a beautiful day. All 110 people aboard the aircraft died. The cause of the accident later turned out to be a fire that had begun in the cargo department caused by improperly stored oxygen canisters. The pilot made a vain attempt through all the smoke to try to get back to Miami International, but could not. The plane nosedived into the Glades. Today, relatives of crash victims have been gathering in the Everglades near the crash scene to mark the anniversary. Meanwhile, the FBI is still looking for a man indicted in connection with the crash all those years ago. Mauro Ociel Valenzuela was one of 3 employees of Sabertech who were indicted following the investigation. That investigation again found that chemical oxygen generators, canisters, did not have safety caps on them. They'd been loaded in the compartment that Sabertech signed off on. The FBI says Valenzuela, now 47, took off before trial and became a fugitive. They say it could be in Chile under a fake identity, but he also has ties to Georgia. At one time, he was an FAA certified mechanic. That practice of storing such canisters on aircraft was banned after that. Shannon, back to the top of the story. I remember getting in our news chopper. We got over the scene, and it was the most surreal sight I'd ever seen. I looked below. I could tell there was a disturbed area of the Everglades, but this aircraft had literally nosedived in, shattered, and gone beneath the muck of the Everglades. Only airboats and helicopters had initial access to the scene, and it would take heroic work by law enforcement divers, by federal transportation investigators, volunteers as well, and it would take many weeks to begin to bring all the wreckage to the surface and try to give relatives, and I know it's overused phrase, but some closure by returning the remains of their loved ones to them. Value Jet Flight 592, the lessons learned, but the tragedy still a huge scar in the lives of the loved ones of 110 people who perished that day.
And I remember, too, Michael, the location in the Everglades made it all the more difficult, as you mentioned, weeks and weeks on end to clean this scene up and get all these pieces put back together.
One of the worst tragedies in aviation history in Florida, and certainly one of the worst in the country as well.
Michael Williams, thanks for your perspective on that.